Hello, Fiber Spider, back again with another tutorial for you, my little yarnivores and arachnits. Yes, another pun, I'm sorry. Anywho, today I'm going to show you how to do this really simple and oh so lovely textured stitch. Couldn't find a name for it, so I'm calling it the Zig Zag Staircase. And it is well, it's a 16-row repeat, but every other row is a inverse of the row before it, and you'll see what I mean. I'll explain. So it's really not that bad. Anywho, I'm going to be using a worsted weight yarn and size 10 needles, and yeah, let's get to it. It is just, oh, I love the texture and I love the feel and it's squishy and yes, I love it. So anyway, enough of my rambling. Let's get started. Okay then. Alrighty, so of course, you start with your slip knot. Nothing surprising there, right? And now these are, as I said, size 10 knitting needles and worsted weight yarn. You can really use whatever works for you. I'm just saying what I'm using so that you know. And this needs a multiple of 16 stitches. That orange piece that I showed just before, that was 2 multiples, okay? But I'm just going to be doing, well, so, hence 32 stitches. This one I'm just going to do 16 for the sake of this tutorial. So we're going to need 16 cast-ons. And like I said, I don't know the exact name of this one. I came across it on Pinterest, and I really liked it. And I wanted to share it with you guys because I'm always looking for new patterns, new little bits of inspiration, and tweaking previous bits and having the, creative flow go, So, just need 16 for this. It's really not that hard to pick up the flow. Alright, so it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Okay, now let me just double count as always. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Okay, so now for row 1, yes, for row 1, we are going to do, let me just make sure I'm not knitting with my tail, but knitting with my working yarn here. For row 1, you do a knit, then a purl, and this is all knits and purls, which makes it really great for beginner knitters. Just a matter of orchestrating them. So it was a knit, and then a purl, and then another knit, and then 5 purls. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Then we repeat what we just did. So that's a knit, purl, knit, and then purl 5. Knit, purl, And then we've got 5 left, so we just purl all of them. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alrighty, and then on to row 2. Alrighty, so for row number 2, here's what I mean by what I said before about every other row is the reverse. So we're going to be basically knitting the knits and purling the purls. And on every even row, that is exactly what you do. So technically speaking, this is not really a 16-row repeat. It's more of like an 8-row repeat. And, you know, every other row, it's just, you know, you're just doing what the stitches tell you. So in this case, it is knitting 5 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to purl, knit, purl. You know, we're just reversing everything that we did on the previous row. It's really that simple. These are the even rows are the easy rows. You know, it's like no brainer. Don't have to think about the pattern. It's a great thing. All right. So we did our purl, knit, purl. And then we have our repeat of 5 knits. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and then we end with a purl, knit, purl. And my tail is being curmudgeon-y. Purl, knit, and purl. All right, so that's the end of row 2. Alrighty, on to row number 3. Now, something you want to keep in mind when doing this pattern is that it does take a while for the pattern to really establish itself, so you may want to do a repeat or 2 before you decide if this pattern's really for you, because then you'll see it's really fleshed out. Personally, I love it. You know, it works for me. And actually, I just I had to undo a stitch before. There we go. Ta-da! Okay, so now for row 3, we're going to do a knit purl. Knit, and then a purl, and then knit 5, one, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then do a purl. And then we have the repeat, so it's a knit purl, knit, purl, then we knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we end on a purl stitch. Okay, then of course you turn your work. And then for row 4, you knit the knits and you purl the purls, just like we did before. As far as, you have obviously a little knit stitch there, you knit that, then you purl the purl bumps. You can do this. I know you can. I don't wish to bore you by, dragging this out. So, you knit the knits, you purl the purls. I know you can do this. And, meet me back for row number 5. Okay, be right back. Alrighty, on to row number 5. Okay, see, as you can see, we're already getting a bit of texture going on here, which is, of course, a good sign. So, for row 5, we're going to knit 1, and then we are going to purl 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so that's knit 1, purl 5, and then we do 1 knit and 1 purl. 1 knit and 1 purl. All right, so then the repeat is knit 1, purl 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a knit and a purl. Knit and a purl. And that's it for row 5. And for row 6, you guessed it, knit the knits, purl the purls, and I'll meet you at the end of row 6 and the beginning of row 7. You can do this, guys. I'll be back in a flash. Alrighty, on to row number 7. Still with me? Hope you are. Alrighty, so for row 7, we start with a knit of 5, a bunch of knits. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then we do a purl, a knit, and a purl. Purl, knit, and a purl. Then for the repeat, it's, again, going to be 5 knits. 1, 2, 3, 4, purl, knit, purl. Purl. Knit. And purl. And that's the end of row 7. And for row 8, knit the knits, purl the purls. Okay, I'll see you at the end of row 8 and the beginning of row 9. Let's keep going. All right, so we're up to row 9. And now we're going to start row 9 with 4 purls. It's always a little tricky for me to do a purl in the first stitch. Alright, so that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alrighty. And then we do a knit, purl, knit, purl. So, knit, purl, knit, and purl. Alright, and then we do another 4 more purls. One, 2, 3, 4, and then we do a knit, purl, excuse me, knit, purl, knit, purl. And that's the end of row 9. And for row 10, knit the knits, purl the purls. And I will be right back as soon as I'm done with that, and we'll start row 11. All right, my dears, on to row number 11. And as you can see already in our swatch, we have a definite angle going on here, and our stairs are starting to take shape. Absolutely love this. Now, one thing though, I will say, I would not recommend using a variegated yarn for this because the texture, and I say this for all textured stitches, this is just my personal take on it, that when you're doing textured stitches, just use a solid color. Otherwise, your texture will get lost in the mishmash of colors. So that's just my personal piece. I will leave it at that. So for row number 11, we start by knitting 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then we purl, knit, purl, and then knit 2. So we do a purl, then we do a knit, and then we do a purl, and then we knit 2. One and 2. And then starting the repeat, it's knit 3, 1, 2, 3. Then we do a purl, knit, purl. And then knit 2. 1 and 2. And that's the end of row 11. For row 12, as per usual, knit the knits, purl the purls. And I'll be back at the end of row 12 and for the beginning of row 13. All right, let's keep going. All right, on to row 13. Almost there. Just a couple more rows, and then we will have a full repeat done. And I absolutely love the texture. I know I'm being redundant, but I do love it. So for row 13, we start with a purl of 2. One and 2. And then we do a knit, purl, knit, and then a purl of 3. So that's a knit, oops, purl, knit, and then a purl of 3. One, 2, and 3. Actually, no, wait. We got a repeat going on here. So then it's a purl of 2 for the repeat. So it's purl of 2. And then a knit, purl, knit. Knit, purl, knit, and then ending on a purl of 3. 1, 2, oops, and 3. Now, I don't know if you've noticed this, but in case if you haven't, there is a very definitive repeat that is going on within the pattern, because we have, like for instance, we have a knit, purl, knit, and then we have a total of 5 purls. And then we have another knit, purl, knit, and then we have, see, we've got 3 purls over here and 2 over here. So if this piece were really long, it would continue on in with a section of a knit, purl, knit, and then 5 purls. A knit, purl, knit, 5 purls. Knit, purl, knit, 5 purls. But it's at the very beginning and the end that it is not, ending with a total of 5 on one end or the other end. It's split up. And that's why I didn't mention it until now, where you can actually really start to see that that's how it happens. And on other rows, it is a sequence of 5 knits and a purl, knit, purl. Just in case you didn't notice it, I'm just mentioning it now, that if you're doing especially a long width piece, like a wide scarf or a blanket, what have you, that is, for the sake of ease, makes it a lot easier to remember what you're doing during the repeat for that row. And for our next row, row 14, we knit the knits, we purl the purls, and we're nearly done, but I just wanted to bring that up to you, especially if you have trouble remembering as you're going through. Um, any little trick is a good trick, really. So I will meet you at the end of row 14 and the beginning of 15. Be right back. Alrighty, row 15. This is the last of the actual pattern rows because 16 is just going to be, like I said, an even row. So, alright, now for row 15, just need a bit more yarn here. For row 15, we start with a knit, and then a purl, knit, purl, purl, knit, purl, and then 4 knits. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, like I was just saying before, I sort of rest my case when I say this because it started with a knit, then a purl, knit, purl, and then 4 knits. So that's a total of 5. 4 on one side, 1 on the other side. So as you can see, the pattern does have a definitive way of defining itself. So we're now going to continue on with our repeat. So that is another knit, and then a purl, knit, purl, purl, knit, purl, and then 4 knits. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. And then, oops, I dropped my counter. So now for row 16, you would do, again, the knitting of knits, and purling of purls, and that is the end of the pattern. And then you would just repeat those 16 rows. And you only, as I said, have to really pay attention to the 8 rows because every other row, it's a repeat, but in inverse, so to speak. So I really hope that you liked this pattern. I love it dearly, and I hope you did too, because it's so much fun to do, and it is quite easy. I would, of course, suggest, copying down the pattern, because this is not a basket weave kind of stitch. That this does require a bit of finagling. After a while, there is, a good possibility that you'll pick up on it and be able to do it by sight and pick up where you are. If you can, more power to you. But it doesn't hurt to keep track of what row you're on and use a pattern. So I'm going to notate the rows for you. I do hope that helps because, I really want to make these videos as great as I can for you guys because I love you guys. And so of course, if you like it, please hit the like button. If not, please, let me know in the comments, either way, what you thought. If you have any questions, what have you. I love hearing from you guys. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do, because I come out with new tutorials and other such videos as often as I can because I have so much fun doing it. So until next time, my little yarnivores and arachnits, stay stitching, stay caffeinated, and stay inspired. And until next time, catch you later. Bye now.